Hello, how are you? Another CreatiVets songwriting extravaganza. Hear all the fanfare music in the background? Yeah, another great day in the neighborhood. Yeah. Now, first of all, let me thank CreatiVets for allowing me to do this for you people, for you veterans, and anyone else who happens to be there. Um, Appreciate everything you're doing for the veterans. And if you want to give vast amounts of money to CreatiVets, they would so appreciate your pennies, your nickels, your dimes, your dollars. All right? Because, hey, it costs money to do this. Okay? All right. Now, I've got an announcement to make. For the next couple of weeks, I've decided to go through my college course, my songwriting course, so that we'll have this on file. Because everything that I do goes on YouTube after I finish each streaming session. Boom, it goes on YouTube. So I want these next, however many, maybe there'll be 4 or 5 or 6 maybe. I don't know how many, it just depends on how long it takes us to get through it. But I want to talk about the basics of songwriting so that you vets can refer back to that when we are deconstructing hit songs and we talk about certain things. You'll know what we're talking about. Pretty cool, huh? So for the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping that it won't be boring because we're not going to play as many songs as we would when we're deconstructing our songs. I might play a few songs here and there, but I wanted to give you the basics, the songwriting basics. Define the different components of songwriting so that you can build your toolbox. So what I do is I simply deconstruct all of songwriting and tell you all the components that fit into the songwriting category, right? So you're going to know about, well, first we're going to do the creative process, which is very important. Then we're going to do basic form, structure, basic song structure. Then we're going to do all the lyric elements, which is the physical, the emotional, the symbolic, and the conclusive. We're going to talk about those things, and that takes quite a bit of time. Then we're going to talk about plot development, or what I call movement. How do we, or just development, how do we develop a song? How do we develop the lyric and the music in a 3.5, 4-minute segment, right? And then we talk about rhythm and rhyme, and then we'll talk a little bit about melody and chords and texture also. So we're going to cover a lot of ground in the next little while, okay? So let us begin our quest for knowledge in this vast array world of songwriting. Let's start where I always start with my college students and with any students where I'm going to teach a complete course. I personally feel that it's extremely important to know about the creative process and to also know how to tap into it personally, for me, for you, to get into the deep stuff and to do it fairly consistently and to get deeper than you would without any instruction, okay? Because without that, all the rest of the stuff that I'm going to tell you, all those things that I just mentioned, all those components, they're a waste of time. If you can't access your lightning, your magic on a consistent and regular basis, why bother? You know what I'm saying? So, let us talk about creativity for the next hour or so, and then we'll move on. Okay. The first thing we want to know about the creative process is, and I tell this over and over and over again, all songwriters share one thing in common. We all of us hear voices. We all hear voices singing to us and telling us lyrics. And yeah, you're right, it can drive you crazy. But that's what we all have in common. All songwriters hear voices. We have this, we have kind of a genetic quirk, as it were, right? That causes us to be able to hear these things happening in our head. We don't know where it comes from, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it'll just be, I mean, you'll be making coffee in the coffee machine, and you'll hear something on the radio, somebody talking, like your brother or sister or your wife or somebody, or your friend is talking in the distance, and they'll say something. And suddenly this little melody and this little lyric just starts to go bing, da, bong, bing, bong, da, bong. It just starts playing in your head. That is a bit of magic right there that all songwriters have. And let me just say that this is the crowning glory and the very basic bottom line of the genius that all of us have, all right? This is so important that you hear voices, singing or creating poems or finding hooks, you know, these kinds of things. How many times, you know, for you folks out there that actually have written songs before, because, I mean, I don't know who's watching this. It could be that some people are watching this that have never written a song. But I'm going to assume that most of you have written songs before, and you may have played them for your family or your friends, or you may have gone out and played them for, you know, at a club for strangers. Ooh, that's scary. But have you ever had someone come up to you and say, "How do you do that? Where does that come from?" You know? And the reason why they don't know is because they don't have that magical hearing voices thing. Now, I will say that also you can have visions as well. You can see things. Painters have visions. And they get out their brushes and they get out their pastels and they get out their pens and pencils and blah, blah, bling, bling, and their clay and their brass and whatever they're making with. And they start building things and they start painting things or drawing things. I love to draw, drawing. is fun for me. I love it. Drawing. So oftentimes, people that hear voices also see visions, right? So they do both. Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, and a bunch of other singer-songwriters actually are pretty famous for their paintings as well. So it's not uncommon to do both. But my point being is that if you're a songwriter and if you're hearing these voices singing to you and you start writing stuff down, that is a genetic quirk that not everyone has. A lot of people that don't have it don't understand how we songwriters come up with stuff. They don't get it. That's because they don't have that little quirky thing, that genetic thing that allows them to hear voices. All right? Now, this is the best news ever, because people that have that ability to hear voices don't always hear it right away. You can wake up to these voices at any time during your life. So you can be 65 years old and retiring, and suddenly you're in the gardening, and a melody pops into your head and starts singing to you. And you're thinking, what is this going on in my head? Right? Welcome to the crazy, wacky, wonderful world of songwriting. You just discovered that you have the gene, or the missing of the gene, or whatever it is, right? But once you discover that you have this thing, it's such great news, because here's the thing. And who is they anyway? But the world cannot take this away from you ever. Once you discover you have it, you realize you have it, it's hardwired into your psyche, into your genetics, into your DNA. It's in your DNA. So because it's part of you, just like the thumb on your right hand, you got a thumb. It's not going away. It's just going to be there, right? It's the same thing with the ability to write songs. It's not ever going to go away, because it's just part of your heart-beating life, okay? The reason why I make such a big point of that is a lot of times we get stuck. I mean, that's just the way the creative process works, is we get stuck. Now, getting stuck can drive people insane, right? It can drive people totally insane. But you need to know that underneath that insanity of having writer's block, underneath all that is your ongoing ability to do it. So what I'm trying to say is that, let's put it in another way. When you have writer's block, it's just a mental, it's a mental thing. You are tricking yourself into believing that you can't do it anymore, right? But in actuality, yes, you can do it. What your brain might be telling you, rather than, oh, I've got writer's block. No, what it might be saying is, hey man, get out and live for a while. You know, I've been taking in, I've been putting out, you know, sitting down with my guitar and you know, I don't know if this thing's tuned, because it's not too bad. It's good enough for government work. So, you know, you're riding along, and then you just get to a point where you're going, you know, nothing comes to me. Nothing comes to me. I just got nothing. Well, that's okay. Just remember that when you get to that stage, it's natural. It happens to all of us, and it's totally cool. Relax. Go out. Well, in this time of difficulty going out, pick up a book, watch a movie, have a good time. We're going to talk more about writer's block in another episode, but I just wanted to tell you that the voices never go away. That's the important thing to remember, is the voices never go away. You got it? You're good. Another way to look at it, and there's so many ways to look at these things, is I'm a fisherman. I love to fish. If you're not into fishing, maybe you're into gardening, so you could use the gardening analogy. But for this purpose, for this stream, I'm going to use the fishing analogy because it's really, really a good analogy to use, and you'll see why. When you discover the voices in your head and you realize, wow, I think I'm a songwriter. This is wild. I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I'm going to try to write songs, which is why you're watching this video. When that happens, I imagine this. I imagine that you're given a stretch of pristine river. Okay? Let me just bring this up here. You're given a stretch of pristine river that's all yours, okay? It's all yours. This is the river of songs, okay? And it's in this, I picture it in a beautiful meadow. It's late spring. It's in Montana. You can see this. So you can see the beautiful mountains, the snow-capped mountains in the distance. And you have this beautiful stretch of river that goes on quite a ways. This stretch of river is all yours. And it's a clear blue river. And you are given a rod, a reel, some line, and some lures, and some flies, and a fly tying kit. And you look out on that river, and you've just discovered that you're a songwriter. Well, you're given this plot, this stretch of river that's only for you, and you can see the trout in there. Yeah, you can see them in there. Little ones, medium ones, and big ones. Like 10, 15-pound trout. Big trout. They're in there. You can see them because the water's clear. Now you are just scrambling, right? Because you're going, oh my God, look at these trout, and there's nobody here. This is mine. I get blah, 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 blah. I'm so excited. So you grab your rod and your reel, and you grab some lures or some flies, and you start throwing stuff at them, right? You know, with some luck, with no training at all, you might catch, you might have beginner's luck, like some people do. You may catch a huge fish right off the bat, and then you never catch another one for years. But you get my idea. Now, here's the good news, or more good news. On this same river, if you walk past your property, either upstream or downstream, either way, you're going to find fishing your very favorite songwriters and artists. They're going to be there on that river fishing. And they're going to be catching really big trout. And it's a catch and release thing, so they put them back. Because that's kind of like songwriting. When you finish a song, it takes off and it has a life of its own. Songs have a life of their own. You can't control it almost. To a degree you can, but when a song gets out there, it's just out there. And it lives its own life. Okay? So you can, those songwriters and artists, they invite you to watch them fish. Isn't that awesome? They invite you to watch them fish and catch amazing fish. So I've got James Taylor and Joni Mitchell and Jackson Brown and Bruce Hornsby, Sting. I've got Bruce Coburn. The list goes on and on. Prettyman. What's her first name? Her last name is Prettyman. Why did I want to say Justin Prettyman? That's not it. Anyway, she's an amazing artist. Her last name is Prettyman, and I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, all the people I love, and then on the other side, I have Merle Haggard and Kenny Chesney and all these Hank Williams Sr., all these people that I love there, and Mozart, all these people, they're there. Because why am I saying this? Because at any time you want to, you can just put on a James Taylor record and listen to his music. And after you get through with this series that I'm going to do, you're going to know how to completely dissect a song. Excuse me, a little thing in there. You're going to be able to completely dissect a song in every way and figure out how to find the magic. And you can take that learning and apply it to your own songwriting, right? Am I right? Of course I'm right. And of course, they're all your favorites are right next to you, because those people that you love, they're part of your songwritingness, right? You're going to write songs probably fairly close to the artist that you love, right? I mean, isn't that just a natural thing? Chuck Berry, oh yeah, the Beatles, yeah, the Rolling Stones, yeah, all those people, they're all there. Sting, Coldplay, the list goes on and on, right? Wilco, it just goes, blah, 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 blah. Katy Perry, Ariana Grande, Taylor, why have I forgot? It's Taylor Swift. It's a crazy world. Taylor Swift, absolutely genius of a human being. Absolute genius. Her last album is just blowing my mind. Can't believe how incredibly talented she is in every way. So these people are the people that I love, and they're influencing the way I think about songwriting, and I can analyze and check them out anytime I want to. Now I come back to my fishing hole, and I've learned from these people. They've let me watch them. I've seen their techniques, so now I can apply those techniques to my fishing hole, and by golly, I start catching better fish. But this is the funny thing about your fishing hole. And you might be able to co-write and invite people in to co-write with you, but you always want to keep your technique intact. Co-writing, it's important for you to retain your individuality as you're giving yourself to the group. The reason why you're there is because you have a unique way of looking at the song that they don't have. So the danger of co-writing is, although co-writing is wonderful, the one danger is you have a tendency to melt into that vanilla place where everybody's just kind of mushy and there is no more personality. It's just kind of a generic song. You want to maintain your personality and your spark and your aliveness and your uniqueness in the songwriting process as you compromise with other unique people, right? So you get a genius kind of compromise, but you don't get you try to avoid the vanilla-ness that co-writing can often bring, right? Especially with young beginning co-writers. All right. So you can see why this river analogy works, because if you're a fisherman, you're going to know this for sure. You're going to know this. When you see fish in this river, when you see them there, you are never going to give up until you catch the big one. You're going to do research. You're going to try to figure out. You're going to fish in the morning, in the middle of the day, at night, in the evening, in the night, at midnight, at 2 in the morning. You're going to try everything. Different lures, different sizes, different colors, different techniques. You're going to keep trying until you catch that fish, no matter how long it takes. That's why I like the fishing analogy, because if I've got a song idea, I never give up until I know it's as good as it can be, right? Until I know I cannot punch any more holes in it. I can't find out, like the second line of the second verse, it's kind of weak. No, we're going to fix that. And fixing that line makes the fish bigger, right? And bigger and bigger and bigger, right? That's what we want. Okay. So that's the point I'm trying to make, is songwriters never give up. Once you hear the voices, we never give up. We're fishermen, right? Jesus was a fisherman. Hey, not bad. Not a bad model to follow, huh? Yeah. At any rate, so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is this hearing voices. So the next thing we want to talk about is so because we hear voices, all of us watching this video, we're all, as of, are you ready? Here we go. As of this, I'm going to make a noise. You ready? That sound was the line drawn in the sand. From that sound forward, if you're hearing voices, you are now an official member from that sound to forever. You are officially in the Royal Society of Hearing Voices. And in this Royal Society, all your favorite artists are there. Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, they're all there. They're all there. Tupac, Kanye West, they're all there. With you, you are a royal member. You are allowed to enter the domain and the kingdom and the citadel of their society. You may sit and smoke cigars and drink sherry with them. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? You're in the Royal Society as of right now. Feels pretty good, huh? Yeah, Royal Society. That'd be nice. Well, you are in there. Yes. All the proof you need to be a songwriter is hearing voices. That's the only requirement to get in the Royal Society. That's the only requirement you need, is that you hear voices. And once you do that, you're never kicked out. You're always welcome, no matter what happens in your life, no matter what this world may do to you. You will always be in that Royal Society. All right? Isn't that nice? Welcome. Welcome to the Royal Society of Hearing Voices. Yes. Glad to have you aboard. Now, to move on, let's talk about what you need as a songwriter, okay? What you need as a songwriter, and this is hilarious, this is funny, because I'm going to be talking for the next 4 to 6 weeks, who knows, on all these components and these techniques and these elements of songwriting. But what you actually need to be a great songwriter is 90%, that's 90, 90% complete and total mystery. That's right. You heard me right. 90% of what you need to write great songs is mysterious. And not only is it mysterious, but it will stay mysterious until your dying day. It's going to stay a mystery. All right? Now, you're thinking that's bad news, but actually it's really good news. And this is why it's good news. Because if you know ahead of time, before you sit down, that what you're doing is 90% mystery, there's 10% technique, which is what we're going to talk about after this session. But if all you need is just this mysterious ability to hear voices, if that's the bulk of what you need, it frees you up to stop worrying. You see? Don't worry about where the next idea will come from. Don't worry that you're inadequate, that you don't know how to do it, which the critical editor will tell you over and over and over and over again, and we're going to talk about the critical editor also. We might even do that in this session. Let me write that down, make sure we talk about it. Hold on. Critical editor. Okay. Yes, so now your doubts and your questions, your doubts and your questions about yourself as a songwriter, they're out the window. They're gone. They're gone. Because it's a mystery. Do you see my point? Because it's a mystery, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You're not going to figure it out, is what I'm trying to say. You're not going to get the secret formula, ever. Or another way to put that is, the secret formula is nothing more than sitting down every day and picking up your instrument, if you have one, or just, maybe you're just going to sing. Maybe you don't have an instrument. That's fine. I know a lot of songwriters that don't play instruments, so you don't have to play one. It's nice if you play one because you can accompany yourself. But the thing is, if you sit down every day and just welcome the mystery into your life, like, I can't wait to hear what the mystery has to offer me today. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not going to doubt it. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to start playing, right? I'm just going to go. I got a feeling that I'm going to go to the down where the place is low. Gonna take it all around my side. Gonna bail down a liquor now. I'm gonna hold on, hold on. I'm gonna hold on to what I got. I'm gonna hold on to what I got. See what I mean? I'm just making stuff up. I'm welcoming the process into my life, right? I'm just welcoming it in. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know why it shows up. It just shows up. And, you know, I mean, obviously there's things in our life that influence what we think about when we sit down to write. You may have broken up with someone, so you're going to naturally be sad and angry and frustrated and self-loathing and blah, blah, blah. Or you may have just fallen in love, and so you're going to feel like $1 million, you know, so that'll influence you. But the process of hearing things is all a mystery, or 90% mystery, all right? So it just frees you up to enjoy the mystery rather than having to doubt and worry and question. your next line, your next note, your next chord. You don't have to question it because it's just going to magically appear or not. Sometimes they don't appear. Sometimes the mystery is a cruel and harsh and wonderful mistress. Some days are diamonds and some days are dust. Right? Thank you, Rodney Crowell. Or dirt. Maybe it's dirt. Some days are diamonds, some days are dirt. I'm not sure. It's one of those two things. But Rodney, I love you, baby. Ow! So, yeah. Isn't that wonderful to know that you'll never have to question or doubt it, but we can tempt it and we can tickle it, right? And we can encourage it. Come on, mystery, come on out, I'm waiting. If you show up every day to write, the mystery will mysteriously appear. Sometimes better than other days, that's okay. But you give it your best shot every day, and you're going to be fine, right? All right? So we're going to be fine, right? Now, because 90% is mystery, here comes some real interesting stuff. You ready? You sitting down? Okay, now, if you're watching this, you probably want to be a really good songwriter. Because if you just wanted to be a mediocre songwriter, you wouldn't be looking this up, right? You wouldn't be going, oh, gee, I need to go on to CreatiVets and discover, a better way to write. No, you wouldn't be thinking that. But because you want to be a successful songwriter, which, you want to be a successful songwriter, you've come to this website and you're listening to me blabbing my head off, okay? All right, so the fact that you're hearing voices and the fact that 90% is mystery pretty much secures your idea that you are already a successful songwriter. The minute you hear voices, you are a successful songwriter. You're a successful songwriter starting out on your successful journey. Do you see what I'm saying? Huh? Pretty cool, huh? You're starting out on your journey as a successful songwriter. Now, I know you're thinking, well, success, Rick Beresford, success means money in the banque. Yeah, well, sometimes successful songwriting and successful money, sometimes they do occasionally come together. Yes. But being a successful songwriter doesn't mean successful money. Those are two separate items, okay? You've got to think of yourself as a successful songwriter if you're hearing voices and you're in the mysterious, wonderful Society of Hearing Voices, the Royal Society of Hearing Voices. You are already successful on your beginning journey, right? You're on your journey as a songwriter, as a successful songwriter, all right? You're on a journey. And your journey's going to go up and down, and it's going to be crazy, and then you die. Boom. Okay? Your life was like this before you found out you heard voices, and now your life is like this. It's just so emotional, then you die. That's how it is. The wonderful, when you discover that you can do this, that you can hear these things in your head, it's such a wonderful and joyous feeling to know, wow, I'm hearing these things. This is great. I got to write it down. I got to put it in my phone, right? On your notes. I've got song notes in here, and I sing into my phone all the time. And I do little notes, little voice to text in my notes. So I sing in my voice notes, and I text voice to text in my reading notes. I do both. Yeah. Okay, so because you want to be a better songwriter and you would like to, wouldn't we like to have our little songs on a playlist on Spotify? Wouldn't we like to be on the radio? Yes, of course we would. All right, so this mysterious thing, this 90% mystery, let's just call it writer's intuition, all right? It's an intuitive thing. I just don't know why, but this word sounds better than this word. This note sounds better than that note. I can't quite figure it out, but it just does, right? And again, there are some techniques to help you, to guide you through those things. But you do have a very strong intuitive sense. Now, I'm going to call this your PI levels. In other words, your professional intuitive levels. Because you want to grow and be professional, you want to have you want your intuition to be professional, right? Again, you may not be signed to a song publisher. You may not have a songwriting manager, which is the new thing, but still you can be a professional in the ability to write. Your ability to write is on a professional level. Okay? So in order to increase your PI, professional intuition, in order to increase your PI levels, you can do 4 things, okay? 4 things. You can do 4 things. The first thing you can do is, remember the river we talked about? You can go to the artists that you love, because those are the artists that are closer to your heart, closest to your personality, right? Go to those songs and analyze them. There's Songwriting 101, 201, and 301, and Masterclass, and PhD. It's all there, right? Well, maybe PhD is actually when you start getting really original. But you get my drift. We're going to learn, well, you've been learning, we've been doing it quite a bit, is decomposing hit songs and, learning what to look for. Well, that's what you should be doing. And that's what you will be doing if you want to grow as a songwriter. You don't anymore imagine the lone writer in a bare room with a bare bulb hanging down and a desk with a bottle of whiskey and a pen and a guitar. I mean, that just, forget that image. Those days are long gone. Welcome to the world, the collective, supportive world of songwriters. All these other songwriters that you love, they're supporting you and they're encouraging you to write songs by putting out hit songs. They're saying, here's another big trout. Here's another one, Rick. How do you like it? Check it out. Notice how I caught it. Notice all the gear that I used, the kind of lure, the time of day, all this stuff. You're going to learn this. We're going to convert that into songwriting. But you're going to learn how to, talk about the characters, the place, the setting, the emotions, the attitudes, right? We're going to learn about, the different emotions that you can have. We're going to learn about the symbolic, the way to create symbols and so forth. All this stuff, we're going to learn all that. And music, we're going to talk about music. So all that's going to happen. So listen to these songs that you love, break them down, and by golly, start learning them. Why not learn them? Like, I've just seen a face, can't forget the time or place. We just met, just like the world to me. I want all the world to see we met. Had it been another day, might have looked the other way, and I'd never been there. as it is our dream of her tonight. Falling, yes I'm falling, she keeps calling me back again. Falling, yes I'm falling, and she keeps calling me back again. Ooh, back again. Ooh, back again. Back again. And so forth. See, I took that song that the Beatles wrote, that McCartney wrote it. Lennon probably had a little to say about it. But I converted that song. I learned it the way they played it. And then I put my personal spin on it, right? And it became my song. I own that song now. Even though the writers are Lennon and McCartney, it is now my personal expression. Because I went out, listened to the song, I analyzed it, I analyzed the chords and the melody and the lyrics, and I decided, again, played it like they did, and then I kind of twisted it and learned it my way. So that's the first thing, so important. Songwriting 101, 201, 301 is right there with all your favorite artists. Just go on Spotify, go on Apple Music, buy the albums if you can. Sometimes they're for sale, actually for sale. I don't know, it's crazy. And learn those songs, download the lyrics. You can read them, you can see how the rhyme scheme's going, how the line length is going, how the melody's going up and down and going, keeping straight and all this stuff and all that. You can learn all that stuff by analyzing your favorite songs, and you will become guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed, your intuition about your songwriting will get better and better and better and better and better. It'll keep growing as long as you do this. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing I encourage my songwriters to do is read great literature and poetry. All right? All right? Read great literature and poetry. All right. You see, I've got some books here. I've got some books. Got lots of books. I'm trying to see if I have one of my best books. If it's here. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'll find it here in a minute. Let's just see. Let's just see. Where is that lovely little thing? That little book. I can't find it now when I want to find it. I can't find it. There. I thought I had it in here. At any rate, I was looking for Cormac McCarthy. His book, I've got his latest book I'm reading. There it is. Here, let's go get you that book and we'll show it to you. Right here is a lovely book. And right here is another lovely little book. This is a killer book, people. This dude knows how to put words to paper. When you learn stuff like that, when you read stuff like that, Mary Oliver, poetry, brilliant. That's just two examples of what I'm talking about. Now, yeah, we can read our trash novels. Absolutely. You know, I love them, you know. What was it? the one about that was based on the painting, the the um, the famous painting. Oh, what's that painting that Michelangelo or the Madonna? Oh no, it's not that. The Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Code, a great book. Loved every minute of it. It's not great writing, but the story was really amazing. This guy here, he writes amazing stories, but the way, his technique, his writing technique is just astounding. This book is almost poetry, especially in some paragraphs more than others. So what you're doing is you're filling your deep well, right? You're filling your subconscious with great word combinations. You're learning what the English language can do. What can it do? What is the greatest that it can be? You'll find it in John Steinbeck, You'll find it in Cormac McCarthy. You'll find it in Emily Dickerson. You'll find it. Great writers. So I encourage you to, along with your regular reading, grab a great novel. Grab a Nobel Prize winning novel and see what the English language is capable of doing. And this is going to help you, your deep well. You may not use any of the terms or word combinations that you read, but it's going to help you chain together your own brilliance, right? You learn what you can do. So your deep well is full of this wonderful stuff. Okay. The third thing you should do to increase your PI levels is to write creatively every day. Okay? Writing creatively every day. Now, right after I'm done with this, I'm going to teach you some songwriting exercises that you can do every day. All right? So we're going to get into that. The last thing you should do or can do to increase your PI levels is get critique from working artists, working professionals, such as myself. I teach and I coach personal songwriters. So if you ever want to have my coaching, you can get in touch with CreatiVets.org and ask them for me to get in touch with you, and we will hook up and I will coach you through your process, right? But there's many people like me, and there's many seminars. Those are good things to go to. There's schools. Berklee School of Music, very famous. Belmont has some really, really good courses. Belmont here in Nashville has some wonderful courses in songwriting and the songwriting business. And NSAI, wonderful, maybe the best songwriting organization ever in the history of the world. NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International. Oh yeah. Tanzania has an NSAI, okay? So, just saying. Get critique from people that know, because you're going to have friends and family that are going to say, "Oh, Larry, that song is so good. Oh my God, you should find somebody to sing that song and it'll be on the radio." Great. Thank you, Aunt Gertrude, for your freaking crazy good advice. Love it. But you know what? Aunt Gertrude don't know beans about what actually is a good song and what's not a good song. So I highly recommend that you get a professional to look at your stuff, okay? And that will help you grow. Now, When you get critiqued from a professional, this is what I want to hear from you. I want to hear when they say, this line's no good, and that line's no good, and they'll tell you what the good lines are too. But when they say, this thing needs changing, this is what I want to hear from you. I want to hear, oh, really? Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. I'll check into that. Very good. Let me write that. Don't resist. Bad idea. You know, when Justin Timberlake tells me how to catch a trout, I don't get defensive. I don't go, no, I don't know. I really like the way I'm fishing, and so I don't think you're really a valid teacher. You see my point? You want to say, Justin, thank you for that tip. That's a great tip, man. Thank you. I'm going to go home, I'm going to digest all that, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to change it, I'm going to think about it. See, you don't have to change things when you're done with your critique session. You don't have to do it. But you want to be forever grateful for the professional insight that you have just received from years and years of writing successfully monetarily, right? Where the successful songwriter and the successful money, where they cross. They've been doing that. So you want to pay attention to that stuff. You may not agree, and it may hurt your feelings. But I always look forward to critique because I am ruthless. Do you hear me? I am ruthless in my pursuit of a hit song. And if I have to rewrite 1,000 times, I'm going to rewrite 1,001 times. Yeah, see? I personally think rewriting is more fun than the actual first write that came up with the idea of the song and put the song together. I always consider the first write of a song just a bare house. The drywall's up, and you can walk into it. It's got a roof, got drywall, the rooms are all there, but I haven't painted, and I haven't put in the furniture. I always want to make sure everything is just right, just in its place. Everything's perfect. I don't want one line to be weak, right? So rewriting to me is the most fun when you get your design ideas and you're going to fill it out with your furniture and your kitchen equipment and all this stuff and your bedding. You know, that's the fun part for me, not just building the house and putting up the drywall. To me, it's more fun to get down to the finer points and really get it tight. Because as it gets better, you feel better about yourself. When the song's better, you're going, wow, this song's so much better than it was yesterday. I love that I listened to that guy or that girl, you know. I'm so glad I listened to them because now my song's getting better. And I can see now that it's reached this level, I can see now where there's some other parts of the song that aren't on that level, this new level, right? So I'm going to take the rest of the song, I'm going to lift it up to that level, right? That's what happens. And rewriting goes until finally a song just feels like it's born. There comes a point where a song, you know, just feels like, I think this song's born. I think it's done. You know? And that's a tricky thing to figure out when a song's done. Because, like I said, I rewrite a lot. So I'll think a song's done, but it's fake, right? It's not really done. Which brings me to another thing that I want to talk about, and that is the creative process, all right? I'm going to give you these exercises, so don't worry. We're going to get these exercises in before this is over, because I want you to have an exercise, at least one. But let's talk about the creative process itself, right? let's just talk about that. The creative process itself, and I got this from Rollo May and his book called The Courage to Create. And I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but it's a great book about creativity. And what he said there's 5 points of creativity. There's inspiration, where we're standing in line at the grocery store and a couple of blue hairs are talking, and they said, yeah, it's going to be a month of Sundays before I let that man back in. And you go, a month of Sundays? Ooh, I like that. See, that's an inspiration, right? Number 2, very important, saturation, right? Excuse the fingertips. These are my guitar playing nails. I haven't painted on, so they're kind of gross. Sorry. Number 2 is saturation, which means, especially for young songwriters, you want to write until you cannot write anymore. Why? Because every single moment of creativity is unique and different. You will never recapture that moment, like the moment that I pick up that guitar when this session is over and I start to play. That moment will never come back the same way. So you want to saturate. You want to use that moment. Honor your voices. That's all I'm doing, is I'm honoring my voices by playing it out until I'm done, right? So saturation. The next one is incubation. And that simply means get away. Get away from the saturation. Separate yourself from this process and free yourself to live life to a full degree. Live life to the fullest. Enjoy. Go on a picnic. Go on a bike ride. Watch a great movie, read a great book. Enjoy your life. Go for walks. Go fishing. But in the meantime, while you're separate from this, you're incubating. That's why they call it incubation. Because you're in the back of your mind, that song is churning. Because you saturated, you really got your brain saturated with that idea. And so now that you've gone away and that you're down on Lower Broadway, of course, after the virus is done in the future, you're down on Broadway partying with your friends. This is incubating, right? So, very important steps. This one is illumination, where, and if you've been writing for any length of time, you'll know what I'm talking about. Illumination is when you stop writing the song and the song starts writing you. Okay? Okay? Are you with me? You know what I'm talking about. When it's so easy, suddenly the song just seems to explode and everything seems to come together. That's illumination, right? That's a wonderful thing. And then the last one is validation. And the reason why that's in there, and Rollo May added this one to the previous 4, he added this one. And I find this one very important, because what validation is, again, didn't we talk about creativity as a harsh, clever, and super fulfilling mistress? But let's talk about the harsh part, because the creative process can lead you down a false trail. Oh yeah, it can. Oh yeah, baby. It can lead you down a cliff. Right? Where you crash and burn. It's okay. The creativity process, the creative collective consciousness brilliance that is our songwriting Royal Society, is testing your mettle. Do you really want to do this songwriting thing? I tricked you. I led you down a false road. You thought you were being illuminated, but actually, no. You crashed and burned. So now, you still want to do this? And the answer, of course, is yes. It's like when your line snaps on a log. You know, you think you got a big fish, and then psh, your line snaps. And you go, well, at least I had him on the hook for a minute, you know. At least I had him on the hook for a minute. So, sometimes, of course, the validation is spot on. You go, yep, it's done, man. That illumination, all the rewriting I did, it's done. It's done. I validated it. I played it for my songwriting friends and my song coach, and they just said, man, you done it. This is a great song. I can't see anything that needs changing. All right? Now, when people ask me, and they are wont to do this, when they ask me, hey, Rick, let's just cut to the chase. Let's just cut to the chase. Can we just give me the secret formula? What's the secret formula? Come on. I know there's one. This is what I tell them. I tell them the secret formula is fanfare. Saturation and incubation. That's it. Write every day as deeply and as hard as you can write. Don't give up until your creative process and juices are completely used up. And then get away from that song. Get up and go away. Take a nap. Watch a movie. Kiss your girlfriend. Yeah, kiss her again. That felt good. Woo. All right. You know what I'm saying? Have a good time. Go on a picnic. Do your hobby. You know, build a boat. Go fishing. These two things together, live life to the fullest and write to the fullest. Do those two things. And if the farther away those two things are, the better you are going to be. Rollo May discovered this. He realized people like Einstein and Edison, you know, they learned to really saturate, like they would practice, like Eric Clapton and some of these guys when they were, and Jimi Hendrix, when they were interviewed about their guitar playing, they said, we practiced until we literally fell asleep. I mean, they would practice, you know, doing their they'd practice until they're practice until they fell asleep. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't remember where I was. I got lost. Those two things, right? Saturation, incubation. Saturate till you can't do it anymore. You also, sometimes, you know, when you surrender, sometimes when you're writing and you're kind of uptight a little bit, if you write and keep writing and keep trying different ideas, overwrite. You know, you're writing a song with 2 verses, a chorus, and a bridge. Write 4 verses, 2 choruses, and 3 bridges. You know, just overwrite. And oftentimes I find, you know, I'll get in a place of surrender, where, you know, I've been writing so long and it's been kind of repetitious and things aren't happening. Boom! You get to that moment of surrender where everything just seems to flow out. It's a great feeling, you know. So work it. So that's the secret formula: saturation, incubation. All right. Good thing to know. Now, let's get to some songwriting exercises to get you to be a better connector to your own lightning, to your own spark, to your own power. Let's get into your spark and your power and your lightning. I love the idea of lightning and spark because lightning never strikes twice the same way, right? Even though it may hit the same spot, it won't look the same. Lightning strikes are infinitely different, right? Pow! So, you know, that's a real good thing to know, that every moment is unique and new and different. Now, remember we talked about writing creatively every day? Okay, this is the first exercise I'm going to give you. It's called the ART exercise, A-R-T, all right? Now, A-R-T stands for Artist Restoration Training, right? Artist Restoration Training, right? So we're going to restore the artist in you with this exercise. This is the baseline flow exercise. The next one I'm going to give you is the baseline working the puzzle exercise, okay? We're going to do 2 today. I think we got time. All right? And then in our next session, I'll give you a few more. All right? And we'll talk about maybe writer's block. All right? We'll talk about how to get over writer's block. And then we'll get into some basics stuff. You know, again, form, structure, blah, blah. Okay, so ART exercise, A-R-T, Artist Restoration Training. All right? Now, there's 5 rules to this. But I will tell you this, there's no bad way to do this exercise. There's no bad way. There's only good ways to do this exercise. There's good ways, there's better ways, and there's best, okay? But there's no bad way. So any way you do this is great. And it's going to help you grow, right? Okay, so the first rule, and this is a tricky one. The first rule is keep your pen moving no matter what. Keep writing no matter what, right? After we find a topic, and we'll talk about the topic later. But you pick a topic, or don't pick a topic. You can just start writing. You can just say, you know what, I'm going to watch my pen start moving. You can do that. Pick a topic or don't, but you write and you keep writing. You don't want to stop and ponder, right? And think for 5 minutes. And then start writing again. Because when you're doing that, you're allowing your editor to take over your writing process. And for this one exercise, we don't want the editor involved at all. Not at all. So we want this to be a stream of consciousness, flow. We're going to do like R. Crumb, you know, the trucking guy that trucks, you know, the R. Crumb guy that kicks his foot way out and does the trucking thing. That's what we want. We want to just go into the fog and just see where it leads. We don't know because it's foggy. We can't see that far ahead of us at all. We're just going to go in there and follow that yellow brick road. You can see the road. We're just going to take one step at a time, keep writing and writing, and follow that road. And then some things light up. You go, oh, there's a tree. Oh, there's somebody in love. Oh, there's a blah. Whatever, you know, whatever's on your topic or not. So you're just going to keep going. Keep your pen moving as best you can, right? Very important, okay? That's one. So we stay in the present. We stay in the moment, right? It's very important to stay in the moment. Stay in the now. And we're actually trying to get as close to the future as we can, right? as close, we want to get on the cutting edge of now. Again, that's why we don't stop and ponder. The next thing we want to do is time it. Oh yeah. Lucky for us, we have timers now on these little computers that we're calling phones. This ain't no phone. This is a computer. Oh, it happens to take phone calls, but it is a computer, okay? Yeah, and it costs $700. It ought to be a computer. Can't believe the prices of these things. Anyway, so we're going to time it. And I recommend, like, very minimum 10 minutes. 15 minutes is better. 20 minutes is great. Okay? The lady that taught me this, she wrote a book called Writing Down the Bones. Writing Down the Bones. And Natalie Goldberg. It's been a while since I've talked about these things. Being the situation that we're in, I haven't talked about my course in a while. But Natalie Goldberg, Writing Down the Bones, she mentions all this, right? You want to time it. The reason why you want to time it is because you want to trick your brain into going deep quickly. And that's the third rule, is going deep, right? Oh, by the way, Natalie Goldberg said she goes as far as 45 minutes sometimes without stopping. You know, I guess on a computer, maybe handwriting, not sure. Either way works. By the way, you can do this on a computer or a typewriter or, you know, any writing instrument that you have. Even you know, like those pads, those Apple Magic Pad. If you want to write it that way, you can do that. You can have a blast. You can write it any way you want. Write it by hand, have a notebook. I keep a notebook, right? I got little tabs in it to help me find stuff quickly. I have a tab thing here, you know, I keep little tabs. And so when I find something interesting, I put a tab on it. This is what we songwriters do. Yeah, it's a burden. No, it's not a burden at all. I have so much fun, it's crazy. Crazy. So we want to time it so that rule 3 is go deep. We'll go deep quickly. And the other reason why we time it is we want to do it every day, right? Remember we talked about increasing our PI levels? We want to write creatively every day. This is one of the exercises you can do. If it has to be just 10 minutes, fine. Do it for 10 minutes every morning. It's nice to do it at the same time every day because then you get into a little routine and you wake up, you make your coffee and you do your writing, you do your morning paper, you know, your morning journaling, right? But it's creative journaling. It's not a diary. If you wanted to call it a diary, call it a diary for your wild mind, okay? Because the fact that you're writing without stopping, without pausing, you're going to write some weird stuff, right? Because your brain can't keep up and form sentences all the time. It's totally cool to write nothing but words and phrases for a while. And then maybe a complete sentence pops up. That's fine. No problem. But don't worry if you're writing kind of crazy stuff, just words and phrases. That's totally okay. That's to be expected, okay? No problem with that at all. You just want to try to stay ahead of the editor, right? And go into the fog. You don't know where it's going. Time it. When you feel something, when you feel some emotional energy, steer into that energy and work to get past your resistance to that energy, right? Sometimes the energy is happy, sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's ambitious and wonderful, and sometimes it's mad, you know? It can be either way. But when you feel energy, go into it. Really important to get into that place. Train your brain to go into the energy, right? Okay. But you only have a certain amount of time to do it. So it tricks your brain into doing, oh, better hurry up, better get into that energy quickly, blah, 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 you know? We're all so worried about it. Because the time's going to go up, all right? So time it, 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can go half an hour if you want, yeah. And so the next thing is the no rule. That's number 4. Number 4 is no. So we got keep writing, don't pause, time it, 10, 15, 20 minutes, go deep whenever you feel it going deep, because you're timing it, you don't have a lot of time, so go deep when you can. 4 is no, no, no editing, no turning back, no crossing out things, no editing, no rhyming on purpose. This is a prose exercise. It's not a songwriting exercise, although there is a songwriting exercise where you can write a song in half an hour. From beginning to end, you just say, I'm going to finish a song, completely finish it in a half an hour, no matter how stinky it is. That's another exercise. This one is a prose exercise. You're writing in paragraph form, or you're writing in abstract, free-form poetry if you want. But we're not rhyming and we're not line rhythming on purpose. In other words, we're not going bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, bump. No, we're not doing that. We're not counting stresses. We're just writing. Back to here. Just keep writing no matter what. We're just writing. All right? So no editing and no rhyming on purpose. Of course you're going to rhyme because you're a songwriter. If you hear rhyme words, write them down, of course. But you're not trying to, bump-a-dump-a-dump-a-me, dump-a-dump-a-dump-a-see, right? If you fall into that pattern for a minute, fine, okay. That's fine. But don't stay in that place. We're looking for content. From the mystery to the real world. We're converting content, that stuff that's scrambling around out there, we're converting all that quiet stuff into reality on the page. Okay, you see the difference? Convert stuff, bring it, make it content. We want content. We don't care that it's not a song. It's not a song. It's just lyrical content or writing content. Okay? So, and the last thing, and this is important, no judgment. Everything you write, it's perfect. Everything you write is perfect. In that moment of perfection, everything you write is perfect. Okay? So, important, do not judge. Even though it doesn't make sense and it's kind of goofy and it's kind of wild, it's perfect. It's just what you want. Everything you write is just what you want. That's just what I wanted at that moment, right? Pretty cool, huh? Now, the last thing is, after the buzzer goes off, let's say you wrote for 15 minutes. The buzzer goes off, you have 2 choices. Choice 1 is, you've got a little time. Set the timer again. Go again. I feel the energy. Hey, I feel it. I feel it. I feel like I could go again. Well, go again. And then go again and again and again. If you've got the day off and you want to do this 20 times, hey, have a party. Have an art party, an art exercise party. But the other thing you can do is you can be done. You can be done for the day. You can be done until this afternoon when you feel like coming back to it. But you can be done, all right? Now, let's just say you are done. What you want to do before you get up is, and this is really important, this step. Underline the words and phrases that you think are powerful in some way, that have some sort of spark or some sort of line rhythm that moves really nicely. It doesn't have to be brilliant. It can be something like, I stumbled in the bathroom and I saw my face in the mirror. That face in the mirror. That face in the mirror. Oh, I like that. The face in the mirror. That's cool. Yeah. You see underlined face in the mirror. Right? Nothing brilliant. It just felt like it was something of interest. Right? The way it moves. Something about the way it moves. You might underline that. Something about I like that line rhythm. I'm going to underline that phrase just for the way it moves. You can make a little note, like put a little B beside it, meaning bump, the way it bumps. Right? And then the other one you can say content, C. You like the content of it. So you just underline stuff that feels of interest to you personally. Why is that so important, Rick? Please tell me why that's so important, will you? Okay, I'm going to tell you. The reason why that's so important is you are learning to what? Prioritize. Yeah. You're learning to say, this is ordinary, this is extraordinary. This is ordinary, that's ordinary, extraordinary. You're learning to separate, and that's what we do in the songwriting world. When we're writing, we say that word or that line or that note or that chord, that's extraordinary. But this other thing, it's ordinary. So I'm going to discard that. I'm going to keep the extraordinary thing. You see, prioritizing, really important. It's good training to prioritize, to learn how to prioritize. And you get better and better at it as you do these art exercises every day. And I would say do them 5 days a week, take 2 days off. Take the weekend off, don't write. Refill your, remember, saturation, incubation? Go ahead and incubate for a while, it's okay. Incubate. Oh, we did that one. There's incubate. Okay. So, what was I going to say? So I was going to say something. So you've underlined everything. Oh, the topics. The topics will be this. First of all, you can have no topic at all. You can just say, I'm going to see what my pen does today. I don't know what's going to happen. But the idea that you're going to follow these rules makes it a creative exercise. It's not just a diary, because you're going to keep your pen moving, and because of that, it's going to be kind of crazy, and therefore your brain is thinking in the now, and there you go, right? But on days when you want to have a topic, it's real easy. The world is divided into 2 categories, in the physical world and the imaginative world, or the world of concepts, right? The real world and the thinking world. Those are 2 things. So you got the world of the senses, right? The world of the senses, the world of real objects and events, right? So you can write about an object, you can write about your favorite hat band, or you can write about an occasion, you can write about an event, you can write about when I went to Woodstock, or you can be more specific, the second night at Woodstock, or you can write about the Jimi Hendrix set at Woodstock, right? So you can write about events or objects, right? So you can write about a friend, a coat. You can write about a tree, a rock, a fish, any object, and write about it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. See what it brings. Or you can write about an event, right? Thanksgiving last year when Uncle Ernie drooled in his soup. Yeah, Uncle Ernie falls asleep real easily. Don't ask me how he does it. So, though you can write about those two things, right? And what I do is I alternate. Like one day I write about an object or an event in real life, and that writing I try to fill with details. Details, details, details. And I try to cover all the five senses, right? Not just seeing, but smelling, right? So you can smell it, you can hear it, you can see it, you can touch it, and you can taste it, right? All those five senses are wonderful keys to work off of. So if you want to, before you write, you can just write down all those senses at the top of the page and cover them all. Bingo! We're all done, right? Isn't that cool? So you can do that. Yeah, so those are the 5 topics. Now, we are out of time today, so tune in on Friday and we'll continue this. We'll wrap up the creative process. We might get into some rewriting or some writer's block. We'll talk about writer's block, and we'll talk about the working the puzzle exercise, the baseline working the puzzle, and we'll talk about headlining, and also maybe about the song map, right? So we got stuff to talk about. But today's episode is good. It's good to end on this art exercise. So now you have a tool, one of the many tools, but you have a tool to start increasing your PI levels as of right now. So you can literally, this tape is over right now. We're going to say goodbye. And you can just turn this thing off and grab a piece of paper and a pen, a pencil, and start writing. And have a ball, have a blast. Pick a topic or not. You can. Oh, by the way, concepts. You want concepts? Look at this. This is my life in a book. This is the original Roget's International Thesaurus, okay? This is the 7th edition. Do not get anything past this edition. This was the last good edition. The 8th version is no longer any good. All right? But this book, let me just show you what this book does. This book it finds similar words to words that you're looking for. It finds synonyms, but it also finds antonyms. Look at this. Can you see that? This is the beginning of this book. It says, the body and the senses. Do you think we could use that in a song? I don't know. Crazy. You see what that says? Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. All right? So you can see, and look at this. Number 104 is love. Number 103, you ready? Wait for it. Hate. What? So you can find opposites in here, synonyms and antonyms. They're right beside each other. Anywhere I open this book, there's bounds, enclosure. You see that? I just opened it randomly. So you can always find nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that are alike, that are similar to the word you're thinking of, and you can find opposites. Opposites means contrast, which we're going to talk about in probably the 3rd session. But what you do is there's a there is a dictionary in the back. Let's just go to the dictionary here. Okay, here, look. Here's the dictionary. You notice that we're in the back here. You see? This is the dictionary, and this is my life, right? So I look up the word back here in the back, and then it gives you a number. So I'm looking up hussy. Hussy is under 142.5. So I go over here to the here's my life, and I go to 142. See, there's numbers at the top of the page there. You see that number? That's 180. Let's go to 143, 142. Insolence, right? So I've got hussy is part of insolence, and then they have next to it kindness and benevolence. You see how great this book is? So my point is, you want some concepts? Just look at this. There's concepts here in the titles here. There's concepts like crazy: justice, injustice, selfishness, virtue, guilt, innocence, repute, chastity, violence, gluttony. They're all here. Everything's here. You know, specter, memory, forgetfulness, cause, effect, production, product, influence, absence of influence, tendency, impulse. See, so you can from this book you can find infinite numbers of concepts. So you can write about money, power, love, hate. You can write about just your emotions, about a breakup. You know, just your personal emotions. So every other day, one day is the real thing in the real world. The next day is a concept or an idea or an ideal. An ideal, right? Like the American way of life. That's an ideal, right? So have fun. Enjoy your newfound friend called the art exercise. And I will see you on Friday, and we'll continue and finish up the creative process and get into writer's block. All right? Okay. Love you guys. I will see you on the flip-flop. This is an old trucker saying. See you on the flip-flop. Keep it on the double nickel, which means back in the day when we had to drive 55. Keep her on the double nickel. See you on the flip-flop on the return trip. And Spanish being the most romantic language there is, I always say, adios amigos.